Hello. So today in this video I'm going to talk about how you can prepare yourself as a fresher for quant job interviews. Right. Recently I've been taking some interviews, and while these guys I interviewed very smart, they were not well prepared, and I could sense that after talking to them for about 45 minutes to 1 hour in the interview. So those are some of the tips that I would like to share on this channel. I think if you're a fresher, if you are fresh out of university, you've never worked in the real world, you don't have an industry experience, you could use these tips before going for interview, and prepare yourself well before going for the interviews. Right. So there are a number of things that I would like to discuss. Okay. One important thing that I would like to tell you is that when you go for any interview, right, do a proper research on the job profile, and this is more important in the field of finance than other fields, because in fields such as software engineering, it's very clear as to what you're going to be doing there. In finance, it's not always clear as to what you will be doing. Right, it's not very clear even from the job description. Right, in the job description it's not always very clear what exactly will be the work actually that you will be doing. Right, so talk to people in the industry beforehand. Right, do your research on internet. Right, read the Wikipedia articles of the technical terms used in the job description. Right, if you find many technical terms, whether it's name of the products, regulations, or name of models, algorithms, etc., just do a Google search. Nowadays you even have ChatGPT and those LLM tools. Just use them to learn a bit about these things. You may not be very thorough about these terminologies, but having some understanding really helps. Otherwise, what I experience is that when you talk to the young folks, they really haven't done any research about the job profile, and while there is no expectation that you will be an expert from get go, it's never easy as a fresher, but the expectation is that you should have done some homework. So doing some homework on the job profile, or the department, or the type of work that people do in that particular department, that particular company, will go a long way in helping you impressing the interviewer. So do that, but even better if you could talk to some people in the industry and who are doing similar kind of work. Just talk to them, clarify your doubts. It's always good to come with some preparation. Right, what normally people do is that people do preparation only on technical matters. They read about algorithms, they read a lot about programming languages, they prepare themselves on the generic questions they find on the internet. Absolutely great, nothing wrong with that. You do those preparations, but beside these things, you must also prepare, or you must also do some preparation according to the job description. Right, if the job description demands you to have certain skills, or demands you to have certain kind of knowledge, make sure that you do some preparation on that. Right, I've said this many times on this channel. For freshers, there's never an expectation that you would be an expert, but if you have done some homework and you have gathered information yourself, whatever information is available on the public domain, and you have learned things yourself, that gives a good signal to the interviewer that you are a self-starter. You can learn on your own, you can learn something new quickly, because these are behavioral skills which are extremely important in the interview. So very important that you do this kind of preparation. There are other things that you should keep in mind. For example, I come across people who go for interviews without preparing as to why they want to do this. Right, it's very obvious. Right, somebody is looking for a job. Right, but it's not so obvious for the interviewer. Right, simply because by hiring you, he or she is taking a risk. Right, why should he or she hire you? Right, unless you are really motivated to work. Because hiring comes at a cost. Right, onboarding is costly, especially for freshers who will spend, I think, quite some time in learning before being productive. That comes at a very huge cost to the company. And why would anybody invest on you, right, unless you are super motivated, right? So one question that is always asked in the interview is that what is the reason behind your interest in the field of finance? Because in finance, either you fit in the culture or you do not fit, right? You will get to know that within a year time, right? Unless you have strong interest, nobody is going to hire you in the field of finance, because that's such a different field in many ways. Even for technical jobs like software engineering, right, if you're going to be working in finance, people will ask you whether you have interest in finance or not, right? So I think you must prepare how to answer this question, right? There are many ways to do that. If you have done some projects, just talk about that because I'm interested in finance, I've done these projects, just to prove your point, right? If you have done some reading, you have done some courses, talk about that in the interview, just to give a signal. If you have done some certification, FRM, CFA, whatever, talk about that in the interview, just to give a signal that you are really interested. Because I interview a lot of the data science graduate, people have done MSc in data science or MS in data science, and when I ask them this question, okay, what motivates you to apply for a quant profile, and they have no clue. They were like, okay, we are looking for a job and we came across the job description and that's the reason why we have applied. But that's not a good enough explanation, right? You don't have to romanticize anything, but be straightforward. But it's difficult to assess someone's personality unless you really speak about these things, right? Unless you clarify as to why you're interested, and give this evidence of your interest in the field. Is difficult to judge, and then you leave it to the opinion of the interviewer to judge you. Don't do that. Instead, clarify it, right? It becomes more clear whether you are a right fit or not, right? On the technical question, I see a lot of these fresh people are very well prepared, which is a great thing. Especially the new generation, if I compare that with my generation, people who completed education a decade back or before that, I think the new generation is much better prepared, which is an amazing thing. I think continue to be the thing, but then the differentiator, because it's a competition between people, right? So if everyone is good in technical matters, how would the interviewer choose, right? The selection would then be based on the culture fit, right? So read, and how do you make sure that you fit in the culture, right? Work culture of the financial organization that you have applied at. So in order to do that, do a bit of research and see for yourself whether you like working in that kind of a culture or not. Right? Doing research, connecting with people, your networking skills, your communication skills, your personality traits, right? Can you work under pressure, right? All that matters a lot, and that will act as a differentiator between two good candidates, right? I think more than anything, what really like among fresh people is the level of energy they show in the interview. If you are energetic, you're showing your energy, and you're so interested just to work, that itself is like 50% in my view, right? If you are very knowledgeable guy, but you're not flexible, you are not willing to work, then I'm not going to be able to use you in the project properly. But if you are like average guy, but with a lot of energy, you are willing to push yourself, you will be an amazing resource for any manager. So I would recommend you to develop this skill, and in any field, by the way, not necessarily finance, but in finance, a lot of the things are like delivery heavy, right? You need to deliver a lot of work in a short time, and you need to have skills to work under pressure. You need to be able to talk to people. So it's more interdisciplinary skill. Like, it's not a field where you sit in silo and do work, right? You'll be collaborating with a lot of people, right? And that's also the reason why this is very lucrative field, right? Because the amount of work, the pressure and everything is also a bit higher compared to jobs in other fields. All right, these are some of the things I wanted to share with you. There are other tips also, right? If you're going for interviews, make sure that beside the preparation that I just mentioned, make sure that you have questions for the interview, right? Every time you go for interview, and don't ask these generic questions. Actually, people ask, okay, please explain me about the job profile and better, but that something the interviewer will do that anyway, regardless of whether you ask or not in the beginning of the interview. But what you must ask, well, it depends on you, but make sure that you ask questions which are more researched and more specific to the job profile, and not very generic questions, because that will give an indication that you have done your research on the job profile and you are really interested, right? And another advice I like to give is that if you get rejected, don't take it very seriously, because it's almost always the case that there are more job applicants compared to the number of jobs available, right? And even if you are really good, there is a probability that you will be rejected. I have rejected many really great candidates simply because I couldn't hire more than what was required by the company. So this happens all the time. So don't take rejection very seriously. Apply, keep on applying, keep on interviewing. Getting the first job is always difficult. After that it becomes easier, and we are in a difficult macroeconomic environment, so there are less jobs, more applicants. So quite likely that you will face some rejection, and you are the only one who is facing rejection. There are probably hundreds, thousands, and even tens of thousands of students like you who are also facing rejection. And it's not just specific to the field of finance or quant finance, it's happening across all areas, all fields. So you need to learn to cope up with rejection, very very important. And prepare well. And if you get rejected also, what you will gain from that is that you have that experience, right? And use that experience to sort of prepare yourself better next time, right? And in any career, certainly in the field of finance, you will be giving such interviews many more time in your career, right? So every single interview experience will help you to be a better version of yourself next time, right? So rejections are part of life. I have certainly been rejected many times, countless times in fact. That's with even other colleagues that I've worked with. So don't take it very seriously. I understand sometimes it can be very overwhelming when you get rejected a couple of times, but I think that's unfortunately is the is part of career, even in life. And I would just advise you to have patience and keep on working hard, and see for yourself if you really like the field. If you don't like it, then do something else. There are other fields also, but if you really like it, then try every possible way to to get a job, right? Get your first job, right? And after that it becomes much easier, right? Then actually whether you like it or not. Then after you gain experience, right, then you'll have the option of choosing what you want to do. Do you want to continue in the field, or you want to move within finance, or you want to do something else in finance? You want to you can experiment. Getting a first job is always difficult. It's always been the case. I didn't have the problem of getting my first job it wasn't that difficult, but afterwards I faced issues, and I've seen many colleagues, actually former colleagues, certainly in the West, actually in the Europe and all, where they don't have the concept of campus placement, getting a first job is very very difficult, even the ones who actually are extremely qualified, like with PhD mathematics and physics and chemistry. A lot of them don't find jobs very easily, so job hunting is a very important skill to learn, right? If you haven't had the opportunity to learn job hunting because you had a easy access to a job because you are studying in an elite university, let me tell you, sooner or later you will realize that this skill is very important. Okay, because in the future when you apply for other jobs, you want to switch jobs, then this skill is going to be extremely important and extremely useful. All right, thanks guys, and see you next time.